For the last 6 years, the Council of Michigan Foundations has been engaged in a wonderful journey. And we really realized that as philanthropy changed and as 4 generations became involved as philanthropists in our state, working with foundations of all sizes, shapes, and dimensions, and we always have been a diverse organization, but we realized that the diversity of philanthropy was becoming even much greater, and that CMF needed to make sure that we were in a position to respond to these new generations, the new thinking, the new models, the new demographics of Michigan. And so it's been a journey to learn, and one of the activities that we've involved in this journey has been called the Peer Action Learning Network, or PALN. And it's been a very interesting experience, because we realized, that for years we've promoted peer networking among foundation trustees and staff, that while they love to hear from experts, they also love to learn from each other. So peer learning has been part of, and networking has been part of our stream of activity for years. But we realized that we needed to, with the help of a great team of consultants, help some foundations really try this on, a specific curriculum on, and dig deep and look at how we as individual trustees and staff of foundations, and we as a collective whole, could be part of a more inclusive environment for philanthropy. Clearly, race is one component of being diverse and inclusive, but we also realize that in Michigan it goes beyond race, it goes to all aspects of diversity and inclusion, particularly socioeconomic, and making sure that every Michigander feels welcome in the field of philanthropy and feels that they can be a philanthropist.
I heard a great story one time, and it was actually not at through our PLN project or the TMP work. I think it was at a local Chamber of Commerce meeting, and somehow the discussion about diversity came up in the workplace, and it was from the for-profit side to tell the group that if you want to be competitive in today's global market, you need to have a lot more diverse workforce that understands all the different cultures out there. And I thought that was a great business reason for why you need to be more diverse. And I think that holds true also in the nonprofit field too, because I would say when you're working with diverse members out there, if you don't necessarily have a diverse staff or understand all the different cultures out there, I would argue, how do you know what services to deliver to the membership? So it holds, so it's the same argument that businesses have out there. So I think that is exactly, aside from it's the right thing to do, I think that's the reason it's important.
It really helped me find out more about who I am, and bringing something, not just me, but other staff too going through this, feel like they can bring themselves to the workplace more versus this is who I am at work and this is who I am outside of work. So I think that's a change that I've seen in myself as well as other staff.
We're writing a value proposition for integrating this across the board. And when you start thinking about the language that was coming out of that, wait a minute, this isn't just a value proposition for diversity, equity, and inclusion in our learning services programs. It's about all of our programs. It's a value proposition for that, not just this one concept thing over here. And it was quite kind of exciting, I think so going forward, we are very aware and very committed to the fact that all of our programming will be thoughtfully crafted to incorporate diversity, equity, and inclusion concepts, principles. All of that grew out of PALN across the board. It's not a project that stands by itself anymore. It's part of the fabric now. And I think we're all very mindful of that. That's a good thing.
The Peer Action Learning Network was part of transforming Michigan philanthropy. And as such, we did a formative evaluation process throughout all of the years. And so what we did is we looked at and tested different strategies to help grow the capacities of people, and in particular our members working in this area. And so what we learned, originally we thought that Peer Action Learning Network would be different members coming each of the 4 years to participate in this work. And what we really learned is that instead of that, we had a cohort of foundations who began in this work and primarily came each of the 4 years. So we had a different outcome. It equally as wonderful because we now have very advanced practitioners in this work. But yet at the same point in time, that growing the number of people engaged in the work we didn't overcome that barrier that we had hoped to do. So what we're doing now, as we pause and say, okay, so this was a pilot, what should we do next? We're now redesigning the next level of programming for diversity, equity, inclusion to have introductory, intermediate, and advanced practitioner levels so that we can really help members connect in this work wherever they are and connect with it in the very natural way that is part of our lives. So rather than having it be solely an individual program in which we're saying in this program you're working on your capacity and diversity and inclusion, we have a leadership development program of which of course diversity and inclusion and equity are all core components of that conversation that you need to have to be a really great leader. And so we're infusing them there. And we're doing that at all of the different levels throughout our entire suite of services. So though it won't look exactly the same, we believe that people will still have the very rich content and that we're actually able to better connect people to the content wherever they are in terms of their current capacity. And we're actually in the final stages of the creation of a readiness tool that people will be able to take. It'll be on our website, and that will help guide them to the different programs and services that might be a good place for them to start.